Hey guys, so you saw that piece last night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the same number of cuts. I'll more regularly space them. And then I'll start looking at this piece here. I made it as long as I did because I didn't want to screw up at all. Didn't want to have any chance. And that was the width of one of those pieces of sheet metal anyway. So it was like, you know, I had to cut that length anyway, so I might as well try and use it all anyways. I don't think there's any point where I might need that same curve again. I suppose I might be able to use it on the front here. Is that a curve or is that a... Yeah, that's a curve as well. Okay, so I can use that extra offcut on the front of this thing. Right, Cat? It's Catter Day, which is the day that they get their wet food treat, the barn kitties do. So they're all anxious to see me down in the barn. Anyways, I got to take down some fence and then I'll get to that. Okay, there you go. I got it well, I had it conforming to this, then it went burn. But I've got it conforming to my pattern here. I've got a fair bit extra. I'll cut it off. I'll give myself probably an extra inch at this end. And then I'll use that as I'll bend that into a flange that I'll tie into the front panel here. But there's what it ended up looking like. I ended up wedging out these ones till they were about 1/8 of an inch wide, and I just did that kind of I'm just trying to remember what the term is here for it, but progressively, I guess it'd be the best way to describe it, where I'd tighten it up and then I'd split it again with the die grinder, you know, tighten it up, split it again, tighten up, split it again while I was holding it together, and that got it pretty good. That part right there is being a little stubborn. I'm going to have to just bend that, or I might have to tack it or something like that. But other than that, that's not too bad. Might just need a little twist, actually, is what it looks like. Because this one isn't quite in there. Who knows? Doesn't really matter that much. So, now comes the monumental task, which is going to be, first off, before I do any welding on this, it's going to be trimming that end off on that. Then it's going to be cutting it out to about here. I don't want to go back any further than this spot here. That's where I wore it out to with the wire wheel. But if I go any further back, then I catch the mount for this thing. And it gets a lot more difficult to do. If you look at it, you can see there's some pitting there, but it still looks pretty solid at that location. So I think I'm okay if I just take it back to where that edge of that hole is. You know, I'll be able to tell. I'll cut it right exactly in line with that. And I'll be able to see in the cross section just how bad it is in terms of perforation. As far as this stuff goes, probably this is going to get cut out at least back to here all the way down and all the way. Well, we'll see how we do up here. Back here, it's not too bad. It seems fairly solid, but I'll probably cut it up to here anyways. I'm going to kind of mess that up. Got a saw cut in there. But we'll see how we go. That's future consideration, because what I'll do is I'll cut this out to the minimum height that I can do it at. And then I'll put it in here. This part doesn't look too bad, but it's actually a perforation. You can actually see it's fairly badly pitted. There's perforation right up to this point here. So the reality is I'd end up replacing this point, and then there'd just be this little island that's about 2 inches long, and I figured I might as well just replace it all. Anyways, I'm blah 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 blahing. I should have enough left, more than enough left over to fill in this part here. So we're good to go. Okay guys, that's it clamped in place. I've trimmed back some of the metal back behind it. Can't see very well, but I'm actually seeing that I gotta actually open up the relief cuts on this, because it's got quite a little preload on it. And actually, if I try and force it, you can see what it's doing is bending it down that way. And that's because obviously these things are keeping it from closing up any further, because it's a hard stop. So I'm going to have to go through and just open up these. I don't know if I open up every one of them. Maybe I'll open up every second one at first. And if that's still not enough, then I'll open the odd ones at that point. I don't think I need to up to here because it looks like I can pull it flat right up to this point where my finger is. So, but it's everything after that that you can kind of see. Sorry, I had to tilt that on the side. That's the only way to get that in there with the display open, but nevertheless. So I'll have to open those up anyways. And before I can weld anything, I gotta weld up these two spots. There's actually two patches here, and that's the join between the two. So I'm gonna have to go and get back these with some copper and weld them up. And that's actually a little bit crusty. I probably should have cut this back a little further, but too late now because there's too much structure around it, too much new structure around it. So I'll weld those bits up probably tomorrow. And then we'll worry about putting this on. I've cut this back to pretty solid metal. I don't think there's too much to complain about. Right here it looks a little bit thinner, but I don't think it's too bad actually. Here, no, I'm not worrying about that right now. So what I'll probably do is first off that piece right there is just rough bent because I don't know what to do with it until I'm ready to weld that flange on. But I actually can cut off probably almost 2 if not 3 of those fingers off the tail end of this one here to make it fit a little better. As a matter of fact, I might do that before I do any flanging because this is kind of holding it off a little bit from the thing here. Anyways, I'll show you what to do if I do any more tonight. Okay, so I'm getting very close to getting this fitted. I just want to show you a couple of things. First of all, I got it fitting fairly well here. I needed to add this little tag of tape at the end to visualize where the end of the bottom of this panel goes, and I also added that piece in to give me a visual indication of the angle that this cut comes off at. So it gives me some idea where I got to trim that. I don't know what else to tell you here. I'm going to carefully trim this back a bit, and once I get this side fitting tight against here, then I'll start worrying about the top of this. But I think I'm almost done for the day. It's getting a little bit late, and I kind of hate to, keep making a bunch of racket once it gets, close to 9 o'clock at night. Whether it's a Friday or not, and whether or not the neighbors are, a couple of 100 feet away or not. Sound does carry around here, I think. Anyways, guys, I think that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. You can see some of the fitment in here, actually. It's not too bad. This needs to be clamped tight against here, but these clamps aren't that hard pressing. So anyways, later.